Cold nights used to be a fact of life, not a reason to buy a bigger heating bill. Our grandparents mastered ways to keep themselves warm in bedrooms without electricity or modern insulation. They arranged their spaces for maximum heat retention, using techniques that still work today. These methods were practical, resourceful, and surprisingly effective, and they're worth rediscovering for anyone who wants to sleep comfortably without relying solely on modern conveniences. Place the bed away from drafty walls and windows. The first step is simple. Don't let cold air hit you while you sleep. Grandparents instinctively avoided putting beds against exterior walls that weren't well insulated. Windows were a particular concern. Even single-pane glass let in a noticeable chill. They often positioned beds closer to the room's interior walls or in corners sheltered by furniture. If your room has unavoidable drafts, consider adding heavy curtains or a temporary window barrier like thick quilts or even a layer of plastic sheeting to block the airflow. Every inch between you and a cold wall matters because it reduces heat loss through conduction. Raise your bed off the floor to trap warmth. Most historical bedrooms had beds on wooden frames rather than directly on the floor. Elevating the bed a few inches above a cold floor allowed air warmed by body heat to circulate beneath, creating a microclimate that felt warmer. If you sleep on a bed that sits low, adding a thick rug underneath or using a straw or wool mattress topper can mimic the effect. Our grandparents sometimes layered folded quilts or straw mats under the mattress to act as insulation, something easily replicated with modern blankets or foam toppers. Use heavy quilts, blankets, and layered bedding strategically. Layering is not just about thickness, it's about placement. Grandparents often used a base layer like a thin sheet or blanket, then a heavier wool quilt topped with an extra cover for added warmth at night. The key was layering materials with different textures and insulating properties. Wool, feather, and cotton blends trap heat differently, creating pockets of warmth that last through the night. You can combine modern blankets with a wool or cotton throw on top to kind of replicate this layering. In extreme cold, folding a blanket at the foot of the bed and tucking it around your feet, well, that really helps prevent heat from escaping downward. Block airflow around the room to maintain heat. Heat escapes quickly when air circulates freely. To reduce this, grandparents often used furniture to shield beds from drafts. Placing a dresser or bookshelf near a window, or even against a poorly insulated wall, created a buffer zone. Heavy curtains and door draft stoppers were also common tools. Even today, placing a thick blanket over the back of a chair or a small table near a drafty window can reduce airflow toward the sleeping area. These small adjustments can make a noticeable difference in the overall warmth of the room. To insulate your walls and windows, you want to use practical materials. Now, while modern insulation sure is convenient, folks in the past had to rely on whatever was handy. Tapestries, quilts, and heavy rugs hung up on the walls gave them extra layers to keep out the cold from all that masonry. A lot of times, windows had an extra layer of fabric, or maybe a removable wooden shutter. You can do something similar by hanging a dense quilt over your window at night, or, if you need a quick fix, just place a big old piece of plywood over a drafty window for a while. Even just putting a large tapestry behind your bed can help trap some of that chill that likes to creep in from brick or stone walls. So, here's something you might not have thought about: positioning your furniture to create a heat pocket. The way you arrange your furniture actually matters a whole lot more than most folks realize. Back in the day, our grandparents would set up zones in a room where heat just kind of naturally gathered. Beds were often tucked into corners, wardrobes placed real strategic-like to block those drafty spots, and chairs or maybe a small table would be set up to form a sort of barrier around the sleeping area. All this, well, it created a microclimate around the bed that helped keep the warmth in. And you can do the same thing today by taking a good look at where your room gets coldest and then placing your furniture not just for looks, but for actual, practical heat management. So, folks, using natural insulating items like rugs and mats on the floor was a smart move back in the day. Bare floors were actually a major source of heat loss. Wool or woven rugs were pretty common in historic bedrooms, giving both insulation and comfort to the space. Even a small rug right beside the bed made a real difference when stepping out from under those blankets in the morning. Layering rugs or even adding a straw mat under your mattress can really amplify the effect and keep things a whole lot cozier. In colder regions, our grandparents even layered multiple rugs or added fabric scraps to create extra insulation during those winter months. Keep nighttime warmth localized to the bed. Grandparents understood that heat is most effective when concentrated right where it is needed. Instead of heating an entire room, the focus was on keeping the sleeping area warm. They used bed canopies, quilts, and tucked blankets to contain heat around the body. A canopy or thick curtain around the bed can trap your body heat, creating a small insulated chamber. You don't need a fancy setup. A simple tension rod with a thick blanket over the bed can mimic this effect and make the bed feel significantly warmer. Maintain warmth with body heat and shared bedding. Sharing a bed or using extra pillows was another historical strategy. Body heat is, honestly, surprisingly effective at raising the temperature in a confined space. Grandparents often slept close together or used multiple blankets to create what folks call a cocoon effect. You can actually replicate this by layering your bedding tightly and making sure your body heat is retained under the covers. Small adjustments like tucking blankets tightly around the mattress edges or, say, using a foot warmer can really mimic these old methods without adding any modern heating devices. Monitor and adjust room humidity. It's something that's often overlooked, but humidity really does affect how warm a room feels. Dry, cold air can make temperatures feel lower than they really are. Historically, our grandparents kept a moderate level of humidity by, keeping a small container of water on a stove or radiator, or by hanging damp towels so they'd evaporate slowly. These days, a small humidifier or even just a bowl of water near a heat source can make your bedroom feel warmer without ever having to raise the thermostat. So, it's important to regularly maintain your bedding for maximum insulation. The effectiveness of your bedding really drops off if it gets compressed, worn out, or if the layers aren't evenly spread. Our grandparents used to fluff quilts, rotate mattresses, and adjust bedding every single day just to keep that insulation working right. And honestly, even today, just taking a few minutes each night to straighten your blankets, fluff your pillows, and make sure all the layers are nice and even, that'll keep your sleeping area a whole lot warmer. Paying attention to these little details, it can really turn an ordinary bed into a highly efficient heat-retaining space, Arranging your bedroom like our grandparents did requires more than just nostalgia. It's really about applying practical, proven methods that maximize warmth through clever positioning, insulation, and layering. Each element, from furniture placement to quilt layering, works together to trap heat where it's needed most around your body. These strategies allow for restful, warm nights, even in rooms that modern heating struggles to cover. If you found this guide useful and want to learn more survival and historical skills that still work today, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles and share this with fellow history enthusiasts. There's more practical, time-tested knowledge waiting for you, and every subscriber helps keep this kind of resource alive.